This is our 2011 Jaguar XFR, and today we've got some pretty cool touchpoint modifications to install. It is one of two nearly identically spec'd XFRs that we have, and as you can see, it has been quite the adventure, as at the moment it is sitting on blocks on dollies with no wheels, let alone that it doesn't have an engine. Let's dive right on in to this install. Sitting here in front of us, we've got some stuff that I'm incredibly stoked to share with you guys. When we removed the powertrain from the XFR, I teased that we were selling our wheel setup because we had found someone who had a nicer wheel set available, along with some other parts from his XFR-S. Included in that package was this absolutely gorgeous flat bottom leather and Alcantara steering wheel with the matching actual carbon fiber shift paddles. There was more in our new package of goodies besides just our set of wheels, our steering wheel, and our new shift paddles, but we'll get into that another moment. The only part that I'm not entirely sure about is if we take a peek here, all of the stitching on this wheel is blue along with our noon marker, and I'm not quite sure if that will match our plans for the XFR yet or not. The second part of this that I'm ecstatic about is these beautiful carbon fiber paddles. A little while ago, we ordered these carbon fiber shift paddle extensions, and these things are equally gorgeous in their own right. They're a little bit bigger than the carbon paddles, but they are definitely not an OEM plus thing like these are. We will still see our stock paddle, but they are quite a bit bigger, and I think they might even feel a little bit better with this ridge on the back. We'll take one set from this car and one set from the car outside and merge one of them with these and stick these on the others, and we can go back and forth to check out which one we like better. The first step in a steering wheel change in pretty much any modern car is going to be remove the airbag. If we take a look at our new wheel that's sitting on the bench because it's easy to look at, we've got these two holes on either side of the steering wheel, and all we need to do is take a flathead screwdriver, stick it through the back side, and turn it 90 degrees because that releases the latch clips for the airbag to the steering wheel. We have removed the steering column cover from the underside of the steering wheel here. It is held on by two Torx screws, one there and right there. They are T20s. And then there's one electrical connection to the adjustment dial. We got that out of our way because that should give us much better access here to the back side of the steering wheel where our holes are to get the airbag off. I'll join you guys in 2 seconds once the airbag's removed. Our airbag is popped on both sides there. You do need a bit longer of a screwdriver than you'd think, but once we got it in there, we reached all the way in, gave her a click, the first side popped, and the second side was pretty easy to pop after that. Steering wheel has been removed. If we take a look at the back side here, we've got two plugs and a ground wire, and they are color coded so you can't screw it up. There's a black one and a gray one there, along with a black one and a gray one here, and of course our dangly wire there that plugs on to the back of the airbag. But we will definitely have to pop out these 4 bolts and get this whole plastic assembly switched over to the other wheel, but I think the only thing we will have to do before we can pop the steering wheel off is get this one electrical connector disconnected and undo our 21mm bolt right there with our impact, popping the wheel off so we can go take it over to the bench. That was quite close. We've got to be careful. The steering wheel almost fell off, and that would have been bad because before the steering wheel comes off, we need to take 2 seconds and give ourselves a marking. The other wheel has the same noon and 6 markers on the metal as well, and we will make sure to go grab our Sharpie here so we can get markings on the steering column itself and make sure that the new wheel gets put in the exact same spot as the old wheel was. We've got Sharpie lines on the column at our noon and 6 marks so we can put it in the exact same spot. And now the wheel should pop right off. Here's the wheels side by side. Though they are similar in size, that's about it that is similar between them. This looks so much better. It doesn't have any shiny glare to it from the leather, and I think it is going to look fantastic in the car. My hands are super gross right now, so I don't really want to touch the Alcantara again, but it is so soft and it's got a nice squish to it that the leather just doesn't, and I can't wait to see how it feels to drive with. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to flip this thing over and we are going to pop off our paddle shifters. I believe these bolts will need to be removed in order for all the front stuff to come off anyhow, so we may as well get that out of the way. Paddle shifter 1 removed. and paddle shifter 2. We've also got a slightly larger Torx here on the back side, holding either side as well. So I'm going to get these popped out while we've got the wheel flipped upside down. And these guys turn out to be T25s. So I'm going to get these 4 bolts in the middle popped off as well. And as it turns out, those are slightly larger, and even though the underside ones are T25 and everything else has been T20, these ones are T30s. The wires for the paddle shifters are stuck a little bit here, but we've got them fed out, and the entire assembly comes out as one. If we take a look, the only real differentiation between the 2 steering wheels, you can see there is wiring going here into the steering wheel and to the back, and that is because, if we take a look at the back, this right here is connected to our heated steering wheel along with all this other wiring inside aside from this guy, and our new wheel does not have that, which is kind of unfortunate, but the heated steering wheel is nice. I would rather have our upgraded one anyhow. We way underpaid. It is an option when you get a custom wheel done like this to have them install all this stuff in it, but it is quite a bit more expensive, and this one, it does not have it. So it's not the end of the world, but it does mean that we're losing our heated steering wheel. And that leaves us with the last thing we need from this steering wheel being this bottom piece right here. And voila, that is the last piece, and we should need nothing more from our old steering wheel. We're just going to reverse our process, which is going to be incredibly satisfying, and we can start popping things in. That guy just clicks back in with tabs, and should be all good there. And 2. Oh, son of a bitch. I'm an idiot and didn't think about the fact that the 09 to 11 steering wheel controls are different than the 2012 and up. And of course, this wheel came out of a 2015 XFR-S. We're going to need to find a set of newer steering wheel controls. Thankfully, everything should work perfectly fine once we do, but of course, these ones do not physically fit. Swapping the paddles shouldn't be too bad here. If we take a peek, there's this gold pin that runs through the paddle holder and the paddle itself to attach the 2 together. All we should have to do is bump this guy on out, reattach, and put it through the new paddles, and we should be able to bolt these back on and see what they look like. Paddle number 1 is all separated out here. The only real thing to be careful of when doing this is this tiny little spring right here. It fell out, of course, as soon as we had them separated, and I managed to catch it, and it wasn't too bad, but we really don't want to lose that guy. If we move on over here, we can see this is the stock paddle versus our carbon fiber paddle that will replace it, and as you can see, it's even got the same part number written down right here. It is just a stock paddle that has been molded with carbon fiber, but we can also see how much bigger the new one is versus the old one. I'm gonna get this set back on here. We just have to set it on just like so, and I'm going to get the pin fed back through, and I'll join you guys in 2 seconds with that done. I am quite stoked. That is a pretty sweet OEM Plus mod. All we had to do was grab my angled 90-degree pliers here to squeeze the pin from the top and the bottom here, getting it right back in. It went in nice and easy, and it is ready to bolt on. I'm going to do the other one here, and then we can go put this wheel back in the car. Damn. This thing looks seriously gorgeous. They don't show too much from the front, which I wish they did, but they still show quite a bit more than stock. They feel quite a bit better than stock. We opted to use the Phillips head screws that were already in this steering wheel instead of our baby Torxes because I like those better, but we can go put this wheel back in the car. And just like that, we have got a steering wheel installed back in the car. This thing looks absolutely fantastic and so much better than the old one did. Of course, it is not 100% complete. We still have to put our new controls on when we get them, along with our airbag and the airbag bracket, but our wiring is all run. If we take a peek here, we've got the clock spring lined up to the appropriate mark in the back there, and we have zip tied up this old wire that used to connect to the power sending unit for the heated steering wheel, which is no longer there. So we are going to get the bottom column cover back on, and for now, our install is done. 3 weeks later, I am back at you with a hilariously rare solution to our steering wheel control problem. In the last video, we got about $25,000 worth of goodies for about $3 grand, And included in that package, which if you haven't seen that video, go back and check it out. It was tons and tons of fun and a very weird story. But included in that package was this XFR-S steering wheel from a 2014 junkyard car in a little bit rough shape. When I called Jaguar, they quoted this steering wheel out at just under $4,000, all because it's got the red XFR-S stitching on it along with the XFR-S badge on the bottom here. And that stuff isn't really of much use to us because we're not going to be using this wheel in the car. We're not doing a full XFR-S conversion on the outside or the inside, at least yet. So I don't feel it would be right to use the RS badge on our wheel. We've got the R badge on our wheel already anyhow. So we're going to leave that. We're not going to use the wheel. We're not going to use the badge, but we are going to use the steering wheel controls and put them in this car. We're also going to take the paddles off the back of the wheel and we are going to mate them up with our shift paddle extensions. And that will leave us with a set of stock paddles from one car, a set of paddles with extensions from this steering wheel, and of course our carbon fiber paddles that we just installed in the car. I'm going to get these steering wheel controls all cleaned up while they're still on the wheel because right now they are absolutely filthy. And then we're going to get this full set of controls pulled off of this wheel and go toss them in the car to finish our install. Got our full set of steering wheel controls removed from the steering wheel and ready to bolt in the car. Before we take that on over there, we are going to take these paddles and put our T-carbon fiber shift paddle extensions on them. These are the paddles from the XFR-S wheel, and thankfully they are in fantastic shape for what they are. We're going to give them a little bit of our wipe with the alcohol pads / clean them up to make sure that these adhere as best they can. But it shouldn't be too bad, and it should be a pretty quick install. I do want to make a quick note. If we take a peek, I don't know how well it'll show up on camera or not, but the paddles actually have these 3 ridges built into them. And the shape of the paddle extensions, if we take a peek, you can even see that those 3 lines are built in to the shape of this with the 3M, along with the contour of the paddle itself. Because of course, the paddle has a bit of a round shape to it. The paddle extension has kind of that round shape to it as well. These are indeed a very, very high quality paddle shift extension. You guys can't see, but they feel like a piece of paper in the weight department. They are so light, they're super smooth and super nice to feel. I won't be surprised if we do end up running these a good chunk of the time because they do feel phenomenal and they are quite a bit bigger than the carbon fiber paddles that we put on the wheel that are in the car. But we're gonna get them set up now so they are ready to go whenever we want to swap them out because we are here and doing it and thinking about it. So I'm gonna take these, get them heated up and stuck on. Absolutely beautiful. I'm quite impressed with these as far as paddle extensions go. Generally speaking, I think paddle extensions are kind of tacky and they don't look or feel that great. And I know the metal ones available for these cars that you'll see on Amazon are about the same. I did quite a bit of looking before I found these and I'm glad because they feel absolutely phenomenal. Even with, they feel super lightweight, they fit perfectly, and they've stuck on there very nicely. I know that we just put these carbon fiber paddles on, but we do have to pull them right back off so we can feed the wires through and get them all connected up. You should always be insanely careful too. I know we've mentioned it a couple times in this video to make sure that we don't overwind the clock spring in either direction, as that can be very, very bad. So we're making sure it stays nice and straight, and whenever I rotate it, I make sure it comes back to the same position it did, not 360 degrees out of position. Now that we've got those 4 bolts installed here, we have to install our T25s in the back that hold the plastic pieces down, and then we can put our paddles back on. Beautiful. I just clicked in the electrical connection that feeds our steering wheel controls and everything else. The only 3 wires we have left are all going to the airbag, so the final thing we need to do is plug in and click back in our steering wheel airbag. Beautiful. And now that we have the junkyard controls from the XFR-S steering wheel, everything fits as it should. The original airbag does indeed work. You do not need to find a newer airbag. The airbag is the same on the older cars and on the newer cars, unlike the controls and the wheel itself. But it fits in beautifully. We did indeed lose our heated steering wheel, but that is okay. We've got our new carbon fiber shift paddles installed on the rear that look and feel fantastic. Over on the bench, we've got our shift paddle extensions that we will do some comparing and contrasting to. And unfortunately, we are unable to test the steering wheel controls or the horn or any of that just yet, since of course all the electrical is disconnected because there is no engine in this car. But for now, this install is 100% complete. Everything fit as it should, the steering wheel controls and everything plugged in as it should, the airbag fit as it should, and we are good to go. Thank you guys so much for joining along. I appreciate that you're here. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the video and if there's anything else you guys would like to see. We have got so much more cool stuff coming to the Jaguar build, along with the M6 and a couple other new things coming to the channel. Thank you guys very much for joining along, and I'll catch you in the next one.